The Awkward Genius Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Genius Podcast, of the Awkward Genius Talks. This is my other channel that I'm using just to get used to talking to the camera. Now, usually what I do, and I forgot to do it this time, is I turn the camera around, so I'm actually just talking to a camera, because now I've got it on selfie mode, and so I've got this image of myself moving in the corner here, which is kind of a pain. So, not that great, but anyway, this is going to be a shorter episode. I have taken my car in to get the winter tires put on, and while they're doing that, I just took my dog for a walk. So I just headed up, and I'm at the end of the road. So this is where the path begins. Keeps going up. Sitting next to this tiny little chapel. I'm actually going to move out a little bit so that the people that are on video can see this tiny little chapel that they put right here. I got my dog is over here, so I imagine there are people that watch this just for my dog. I am going to give you a short little view inside the chapel, just because it is cute. I'm not sure it's going to work very well with my phone, but it's just neat that this is just this tiny little room. One room. And that this still exists. Let's see how we can get a look of it here. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? And people still keep it up. France is quite a bit. For those of you who don't know, I actually live in France, so I am right next to a little French hamlet. Which is near the place that fixes my car. So I just walked up the road and ended up at this little chapel, just right at the edge of the woods. There's only a couple more houses up that forest road behind me. But anyway, that's the story of today. What I was going to talk about is why does anyone like winter? I grew up in Vermont, which is right on the Canadian border, so we're in this swath of the United States that includes not the whole, but the good part of the Northeast, and then New Hampshire and Maine, and then even northern Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota are in this kind of area of the map that gets a particular climate, which is basically like alpine. I think it's just crazy cold, long winters, and so since I grew up with these winters, not only myself, but all the tons of people around me, you'll actually hear them saying stuff like they like winter. And where I live now in the French Alps, in the foothills of the French Alps, the winters are much lighter. We don't get, negative 40 degrees, for example. We don't get a ton of snow. Oh, I got somebody coming up. Oh no, they're turning. I wasn't expecting anybody to come up here because there's not really any more houses after this. Anyway, so I'm in a place where we get some winter. You can tell from the hat, but it's not particularly rough and tumble the way it is in Vermont. And how do you get people that say that they like those winters? I mean, that is some cold. I remember we'd go into it thinking, we're going to ski, we're going to sled, we're going to do all that stuff. And then sometime mid-January, you just kind of stop going outside because it is so cold every time you do. So I don't have the answer to this. My thought is basically that one is people embrace hardship because otherwise you go crazy and you're just depressed all the time. And so the optimist part of the human brain embraces hardship and says, yeah, this is part of me, this is something that I've overcome, and so I like it because it's kind of a testament to my own strength. And I think that can branch out to a bunch of different parts of your life, a lot of different hardships that you overcome, that you may actually almost look upon them fondly. And I don't know if this is the sunk cost fallacy or if this is Stockholm syndrome from the capital named after Stockholm, the capital of Switzerland. So there's that. people overcoming that adversity. And then the other one, there's this dog barking at me. It's completely made me lose my train of thought. But anyway, this is going to be a short one. Well, it's only 5 minutes, so I got to keep going. Dog barking or not. So why would anybody like winter? There's that one. Now I'm just riffing. It's because it kind of sets you apart. That's the other idea I had. And it goes with this one. Because it's your clan. Your clan are the winter bears. And so that's one of the things that you identify not only yourself with as having overcome that adversity, but your clan. In my case, Vermonters or Northeasterners, or maybe in your case, Eskimos, wherever you may happen to live, Siberian elk. You identify with, your whole clan identifies with that, so that becomes a part of your kind of group think or clan identity. We're winter people, we're mountain people. So that becomes important. And then the last thing is something that I think is interesting, and I actually came to it through sweets. Like in America, we eat, Butterfingers. In Turkey, I've had Turkish sweets, and they've got like rose water and a lot of honey, and I find them except for baklava, I love baklava, but a lot of the other ones I find them very strange. And then I've seen this in other places in Bulgaria, where their sweets, I find them just super strange. And so I came to the conclusion that kids just love anything sweet that they had as a kid. It's a nostalgia factor. I had this when I was a kid. It had sugar in it. I like it. I'm getting part of that experience now because I live in France, so nobody in France does Thanksgiving. Uniquely American holiday. They do, although they have picked up while I've been here, they picked up Halloween, Black Friday, and I don't know what else. But those two, they totally adopted those just because they're fun and they work for some commercial reason. They sell stuff. But Thanksgiving, turkey and American football probably just isn't going to come. And celebrating American pilgrims probably isn't going to make it to France. So I order from a very specialized website, the pumpkin pie filling every year. And then I make a pumpkin pie or 2 or 4 every Thanksgiving. And the French people that try it are like, oh my God, that's weird. Whereas my kids are just now getting to the point where they'll ask for it for breakfast the next day because I make enough. And I think it's just because they get accustomed to it, because it has sugar in it, and they're having it as a kid, and also because it's starting to become part of our clan, the identity. They've got this little part of them where they're proud to be American. So it's like, oh, this pumpkin pie thing, this is just because I'm American. This is just us. So in any case, I think that's another part of why people might like winter, is they have fond memories of winter as children. I remember when thinks of like the snowball fights and the snowmen, the school days, the snow days rather, that got you out of school. It's also something, one of those times where, especially on a snow day, but other times during the winter when there's just really nothing else to do, or maybe you get your parents out to come and play and help you with something outside where they might not have done that a lot. Otherwise, you might have gotten some privileged time. That was the word I was looking for. And so these are all the reasons that I can think of why people might like a whole season where you don't see the sun. It's dark and cloudy, incredibly cold, slippery. You fall and break your ass on the drop of a dime. And that's not the expression, but whatever. I mean, it's rough. It's rough and tumble. There's not. You wouldn't think that there'd be a lot to love there, but there she goes. I could do a whole series of why do people love things, or identify with them, or like certain things. But like winter's a good one, especially if you've lived through a couple of Vermont winters. Those winters have chased more than a few out-of-staters back out of state. So anyway, that was the topic of today's podcast. Why do people like winter? So I'm supposed to finish with the awkward genius advice. And I think I thought of something beforehand, but again, I can't remember it. So I told you this was going to be not a very good podcast, and that I would most of the time not have any idea what I'm talking about. So just good advice is just get out and go for a walk. Oh, let's go with get a dog. I do remember my advice for getting a dog. I like this one. The reason you should get a dog, this is my advice to you, my friends, is that almost all the time that you're taking care of your dog, you're actually taking care of yourself. You got to take it for a walk once or twice a day. You know what? You got to take yourself for a walk once or twice a day. Lazy bum. So that's a big one. You got to go down and scratch his belly and make him all happy. You know what? You get a shot of endorphins when that critter is all happy to see you and he's giving you all that love and he's just happy with your presence. That actually makes you feel better about yourself. And then when you feed him, no, that's actually just for him. But, sometimes he's happy. Oh, it also, sometimes when you feed him, he's doing your dishes for you. So that's a win-win. So that's my advice for you today. This is I'm just looking at the timestamp, about 12 minutes. This is a much shorter edition, but like I said, I'm just killing time while, sorry, it's cold. My nose is getting all sniffly. I'm just killing time while my mechanic puts on my snow tires. So I think it's probably time for me to go back down there. And I've been sitting outside. I'm telling you how rugged winter is. But I've just been sitting out here next to the chapel. Of course, I do have this hat and this huge down jacket, so I can probably handle anything. But that's going to be the end of this one. This podcast is over, and you should probably go now. See ya.